Good afternoon. Oh, you can do better than that. Good afternoon. It's post-lunch. It's not nap time. It's time to listen to cybersecurity. My name is Paul Maurer. I'm president of Montreat College in Western North Carolina. If you don't know much about Montreat College or have not heard of Montreat College, we're located in the mountains in the western part of the state. There's a photo of some of our students and a photo of our beautiful, beautiful 110-year-old campus. We're a small, faith-based liberal arts college, and we have made a footprint nationally in our cybersecurity education. We're in our 14th year of teaching cybersecurity. We've become a national leader. We have been doing cybersecurity contract work for the National Security Agency for a number of years. And my purpose today is very, very simple. It is to provide you a tool in the war against cybercrime. So let's talk about that tool. Well, it starts with a value proposition that we developed a number of years ago about cybersecurity that informs everything that we do and how we teach cybersecurity, how we think about it, how we write about it, how we expand the footprint in cybersecurity. And that is that the problem of cybersecurity is not principally a technical problem. The problem of cybersecurity is principally a human problem. And therefore, the solution to cybersecurity is not principally a technical solution. It is principally a human solution. If you don't have the right people of ethics and character making good decisions on the front line and in the leadership of cybersecurity in your nation, your technology does not matter very much. You must have well-trained people. In other words, we do not believe that artificial intelligence is here to save the day on cybersecurity. We believe that artificial intelligence will complicate cybersecurity at least as much as it will help cybersecurity. And so the workforce gap here in the United States, we believe will continue for some time, and you may be experiencing that in your nation as well. This value proposition of the human factor in cybersecurity resonated with the National Security Agency. And so I got a call from them several years ago asking if we would put together a curriculum specifically on the ethics of cybersecurity for the National Security Agency. You see, here in the United States, the NSA has taken the lead role in developing, training, educating the future workforce in cybersecurity. It's literally the only academic discipline in American higher education where the federal government has taken the lead role in making sure that workforce is educated the way the federal government wants them educated. There's no other program at my college or any other academic program at any other university in the United States where the federal government is the lead accreditor of that program, but they are in cybersecurity. And so I got a call from Lynn Clark a few years ago saying, we need a curriculum on ethics and character for the schools that we oversee. There are what are called Centers of Academic Excellence schools, CAEs. There are about 500 CAEs in the country, in the United States today. And she said, we need a curriculum for those CAE schools in ethics and character because we believe, as the federal government and the NSA, that you must have an ethical workforce in order to be effective defenders in the problems against cybersecurity. So I engaged Lynn in a conversation. I'd known Lynn for years, and we built a relationship, and I said, we'll be happy to do a curriculum, but we also believe there needs to be a trade book, a book for already existing working professionals who've already gotten their cyber education, and they may have gotten it without an ethical framework of how to do their jobs. So we agreed. We delivered both the curriculum and the book, and the book is the one that some of you picked it up. It was out on the front desk, front table, called The Code of Honor. My co-author is a fellow named Ed Scotus. Ed is a dear friend. He's actually serves on my board of trustees at the college now, but Ed is known nationally as one of the leading cyber experts in the country and probably, frankly, in the world. He owns his own penetration testing company, but he's better known for his work with SANS, S-A-N-S. SANS is the leading professional development organization in the country for people in the cybersecurity field, and they do absolutely first-rate, world-class professional development. So I called Ed and I said, Ed, I need a co-author because I'm not technically a cybersecurity professional. And so I need someone who actually understands cybersecurity for this book. And so Ed agreed to be my co-author. And the product is the Code of Honor, Embracing Ethics in Cybersecurity. Someone at the reception last night, when I was mentioning my talk today, said, when I used the words cybersecurity ethics in the same sentence, they said, well, isn't that an oxymoron? And I said, well, actually it's not, but you might think that it is. And so we have a rationale as to why it's not an oxymoron. So why did we develop the Code of Honor? Well, if you look back historically in civilized countries, you realize that the largest engagements of civilization have codes of ethics. They have codes of honor as part of them. Think of medicine with the Hippocratic Oath. Think of law and legal ethics. Think of warfare. The Geneva Conventions were developed in 1949, post-World War II, but just war theory, which is the basis of all the Geneva Conventions, goes back, like the Hippocratic Oath, 2,000 years. So we literally have in civilization, not just Western civilization, but certainly throughout all of Western civilization, codes of ethics that go back to a time when, during the Roman Empire. And no one looks back at the Roman Empire and says, well, that was the model of moral and ethical thinking. And so cybersecurity is still a very new engagement of our era of humanity. So if civilization is 2,500, 3,000 years old, cybersecurity has just been born in the last few decades. Even government leaders have oaths of office. Elected officials, many of you who are parliamentarians from your countries, I don't know what you do in your country, but here in the United States, elected officials, judges take oaths of office as they enter office. So why would we think that cybersecurity reaches the level of some of these other large engagements? Well, we consider cybersecurity to be the economic and security threat of our time. I've been coming to Washington, D.C. for about almost a decade on a very, very regular basis, and it became clear very early on with lawmakers here, senators, congressmen, members of their staff, Senate Intelligence Committee, Senate Armed Services Committee, that the days of the Cold War nuclear threat being the security threat of our time were long over. It's not about nuclear war. It's about cybersecurity. And having been coming here for a decade and engaging in these conversations, I can tell you that the alert level is very, very high on cybersecurity. So let me give you some numbers here. Cybercrime is estimated to cost $10 trillion this year, 2025. That's an estimate. Just 2 years ago, that estimate was $6 trillion. It's exploding. The growth in cybercrime globally is absolutely exponential. When you look at some of the other topics on our agenda for today and tomorrow, and I was calculating this at the San Salvador Forum, you look at money laundering, transnational organized crime, illicit trade, drug trafficking, terrorism. You add all those together, and I got the assistance from I got an assist from ChatGPT on this. I asked, what are the estimated levels of annual cost of crime of all these things? And ChatGPT's response to me was a little under $5 trillion for all of them combined. Now, they're all very, very serious problems, And part of what's so fascinating about coming to these forums is to really understand the scope and the breadth and the depth of the challenges that we're facing in our era. But when you look at cybersecurity at 10 trillion and the combination of the others at under 5 trillion, it's hard not to see the scope and magnitude of cybersecurity as worthy of the workforce having a code by which they need to make their decisions. You must be able to trust your cybersecurity professionals. So, not to pick on my new friend Don here, but I'm going to pick on my new friend Don here. If Don is the cybersecurity professional at your bank where you keep your money, you have to trust him. He has the keys to your kingdom. He has the keys to your financial kingdom. But cyber professionals in the healthcare space have your healthcare data. And cyber professionals in the retail space have your consumer data. Your data is out there. We all know that. If we don't have cybersecurity professionals who know how to ethically handle that data, that know how to handle when that data has been breached, then we have real problems. So we developed the code, and here it is. And I'm just going to read it out loud. I solemnly swear to uphold to the best of my ability and judgments in all my professional duties, personal practices, and future endeavors, the tenets of this pledge. Number 1, I will treat all people with dignity and respect. Number 2, I will seek the best interests of others. Number 3, I will strive to recognize, take ownership, and appropriately communicate my mistakes and exercise patience toward others who make errors. 4, I will be honest and trustworthy and above reproach in all my actions and communications. 5, I will not be a lone wolf, but will instead work collaboratively with my peers and superiors. 6, I will endeavor to exercise patience, wisdom, and self-control in all situations. 7, I will not steal and will do everything within my power to prevent theft in all of its forms. And finally, I will protect and respect the privacy of others. So let's apply the code. Every chapter of this book is one of those 8 planks of the oath. And at the end of every chapter is a case study, a situation that really happened that Ed Scotus, my co-author, helped do forensic post-breach analysis on. So what most people don't know is that my co-author is the only person the Federal Trade Commission uses to do forensic analysis on the largest cyber breaches in America over the last 20 years. And so at the end of every chapter is a case study that Ed has actually walked through and lived through in doing the post-breach analysis. So the scenario in chapter 1 is ransomware. Do you know what ransomware is? It's when they lock down your system, they take control of your network, and they say, for X amount of dollars, we'll give it back to you. How generous. This is one of the most popular ways that the extortionists, the cyber criminals, make money. And make no mistake about the entirety of cybercrime is built on making your money. They're stealing your money from you. They're extorting it from you in some form or fashion. And so ransomware is a way to get a small business, a mid-sized business, a company, a large company, a municipality, a government to give them money. So ransomware is exploding at a global level. The average cyber attack costs a business or a municipality $10 million US. That's the average cost. And I was speaking just a few minutes ago, right before lunch and over lunch, with an official who worked for the Small Business Administration in the last administration, and I asked her how many small businesses there were in the United States. And I think the number was 39 million. Do I have that number right? 39 million small businesses here in the United States. A $10 million cost to a large transnational international conglomerate, that's a rounding error. But to a small or mid-sized business, it's absolutely devastating. And for many of them, it's the kiss of death. They cannot recover because of the cost of that. And so most economies are built on small businesses, not on large businesses. And so we must be able to protect and provide protection for these small businesses because of how vulnerable they are. Targets include hospitals. Hospitals are being shut down, and surgeries are being prevented, and care is being prevented. IoT, the Internet of Things, often goes through the medical devices. There is no greater vulnerable sector of any economy than its healthcare sector in cybersecurity, because with medical devices, you have more points of entry, more vulnerable open spots than any other industry. Schools, governments, manufacturing, and then of course there's critical infrastructure. You've got the grid, you've got water systems. In the U.S., water systems are completely decentralized. There are thousands of water systems across the country, and many of them are out of date. They are, and many are in very, very rural areas. And one of my friends here in D.C., who I had dinner with a few years ago, I said, what keeps you up at night? And he said, what keeps me up at night is water systems. A sophisticated cyber hacker could go in and change the pH balance in a water system, and people would begin to get sick and they wouldn't know why. And then they could go in and change the pH balance a little bit more, and people would begin to die and they wouldn't know why. And 6 months later, they would discover what had happened, and Americans would lose confidence in turning on their faucet. He said, that's what keeps me up at night. And so there are literally thousands of vulnerable points whereby a cyber criminal can attack. But we're focused here on ransomware. So Chapter 1, the scenario from Chapter 1 is a mid-sized medical device engineering company. Ransomware shuts down its production capacity. The system were exploited through a third-party internet provider, and a lot of us have access through a third-party internet provider or IT service provider. Many different medical device companies, including the competition, use this particular IT provider. So what are the ethically related questions that go with this particular scenario? One, is it reasonable to try to hack back to neutralize the attacker? This is not an unimportant question, and it goes through the minds of cyber professionals very, very quickly, is do we strike back? That's a big question. Number two, does the organization have a responsibility to alert the IT provider? Big question. Number three, should the organization warn its competitors of the attack? You can begin to see where the self-interest of a company is going to come to the forefront. Do we let them know? Do we not let them know? These are questions that need to be answered by your cyber teams in a situation like this. Fourth, should the organization notify law enforcement? What if the attacker demands they not involve law enforcement? What will law enforcement do? Can they help? What advice will they give? These are all questions. And then finally, should the organization pay the ransom? Okay, you can quickly see that these are not simple questions. They're actually very complex questions, and they need to be answered by wise individuals who are trained on how to think these matters through as they answer the questions. So let me wrap up. In conclusion, the United States National Security Agency has deemed the teaching of ethics a requirement for all of its CAE institutions across the country. They realize that the technical expertise is not enough. They must be ethically trained, and being trained ethically takes work. To begin to think ethically takes work. It takes practice. It's like any other muscle that must be exercised. You must think through scenarios. You must work through scenarios. You must begin to think about how to respond. And over time, people have those muscles developed, but it takes time. This book is the teaching tool that the NSA has asked for, and this book is what the NSA provides to the nearly 500 schools across the United States. My argument to this particular body is the free governments of the world, the civilized nations of the world, this is a tool that you are free to use. We brought 100 copies that are all gone, so many of you picked these up. This is a book that we encourage you to test drive. Read it. Give it to your CISO, Chief Information Security Officer. Give it to someone who really knows this space, who's trained in this space, a leader in this space. If you are taking the lead as a country in training and educating your cyber professionals for the future, you might consider having the teaching of ethics at the heart of that, not only as a sidebar in addition to the technical. We believe that the teaching of ethics must be taught overtly to create an ethical workforce. And so finally, you got a QR code. On the left side, there's a one with two QR codes. There we go. On the left QR code is a QR code to get to the book. It's on Amazon. It's also on Audible. If you'd like to order more copies or have your institutions or whoever. And on the right is the QR code for the oath itself. We encourage students to print it out, sign it, frame it, put it on the wall. If you're going to agree to practice this way, we think that reminder on the wall is important. And then finally, if you need help, if your nation needs help in growing your cyber workforce, the QR code there is to our online program. We offer a fully 100% online program that's both technically excellent but also rooted in the ethics. So thank you for your time, and we encourage you, with the final slide, we encourage you to build trust. Thank you very much.